everybody has already talked about this topic. I understand that I am late to the game, but I want to throw my hat in the ring. I want to yap about this a little bit because it's been on my mind for the past year, so I might as well make a video about it. I am going to talk about the online book space, everyone's favorite topic. Yay! So in this video, we're going to be talking about Booktok, Bookstagram, people's perception of it on the internet, what it actually is, anti-intellectualism when it comes to reading, and that sort of trend happening. We're going to talk about the misogyny question because I feel like a lot of people have been calling the discourse around Booktok misogynistic. We're going to be talking about misleading covers, and I am just going to give you my opinions on it because what's another drop in the pond, you know? It's just another person talking about their opinions of the book space. I want to approach this in a very nuanced way because I do not have a fully negative perception of the online book space, but I do think that there are some things that bother me and bother a lot of people. So I'm just going to bring those up. We're going to talk about it. It's just going to be a little chat video today. I have some notes, I have some outlines, and we're just going to go over those, and I'm going to talk about my opinions. I'm going to try to come from a perspective that is neutral, that is as neutral as possible before giving my opinion. And we're just going to see where this goes. This is my first sort of video talking about the state of things, you know? And this is a topic that I'm very interested in, and I think a lot of people are very interested in. That's why we're seeing a lot of videos like this these days. But I just wanted to see if I could talk about things. And if you like this video, please tell me so that I can do more in the future, because this seems like a video style that I would be really interested in, but I want to make sure that I am putting out content that you guys enjoy as well. So let's do that, you know, give and take, push and pull type stuff. Like, if you like it, show me you like it by liking, commenting, and subscribing. So let us get into this video. So I think when a lot of people think of Booktok, they think of sort of negative things, which, I will be honest, makes me pretty sad. They think of young girls and young women who are only interested in spice. They think of Icebreaker and Colleen Hoover and badly written books. They think of the girl who said, "This book has too many words on the page," which I cannot go into for my sanity, but that was the worst take I've ever seen in my life, and I hope to the God of creation she was just rage baiting. I don't know if she was though, so who knows. But I have found it very difficult to deal with that. I've been very intimidated to approach TikTok, and let us be clear, as of right now, my stance is I am not downloading that app, and it has nothing to do with Booktok. It is just that I have not had it for so many years. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole again, especially with the opinions of the creators and the people running it in the US. I don't want to have anything to do with that. Is Meta much better? No. But I like how Instagram is run a lot better. I like the aesthetic of Instagram better. If you want to follow me, please do. I am going to try to upload more on it. But let us be clear, I'm not on TikTok. I have been hesitant to download TikTok before, and now I will never download it unless things change drastically. But I think that it is very safe to say that if you are just to look up Booktok and you do not have a curated account yet, you will see spicy book recs. And is that necessarily a bad thing? No, of course not. And I believe in the value of books of all genres, and there is a place for it. But when the entire side of TikTok is known just for that, I personally struggle with it. I wish I knew why that was what got the most attention on Booktok. I just wish that there was more diversity in mainstream Booktok. And do not get me wrong, I know for a fact a lot of mainstream Booktok isn't spice, but I think that we can also be very real and say that it is only a couple favored genres that really take the main stage of mainstream Booktok. There are plenty of amazing book recs all over social media from a lot of different people, but I think that when we think of Booktok, we think of Colleen Hoover, we think of spice, we think of romantasy, and there's nothing wrong with romance or spice or romantasy in a lot of ways. Obviously, there's some problematic tropes, which, again, there should be a place for everything, in my opinion, because writing is art, and art is about expression. However, as someone who is an avid Colleen Hoover hater, and I am not afraid to say it, and as someone who is not like super into fantasy, I do feel a little bit ostracized by that side of Booktok, and I struggle to find a sense of community with people who enjoy reading in online spaces, because a lot of the times I feel like the books that I choose to read are not the books that other people choose to read, and that's fine and that's wonderful. And like, the wonderful thing about reading is that I believe there's a book out there for everyone. I believe that there's a book that every single person can enjoy, and that's beautiful. But when you're not as interested into the mainstream as a lot of other people are, it's really hard to find a sense of community in the book spaces. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of books that I like that are adjacent to mainstream Booktok. Like, I love a lot of romance. I love a good enemies to lovers. I love a good friends to lovers. I love a good royalty story. I just am more like princesses and fairies and pretty in pink, like fantasy, rather than I am the more dark cover fantasy that I think is very on trend on Booktok these days. And I don't know, I just want to talk about books, that's all. That's why I made a YouTube channel. I think the biggest thing about me having this book channel is that I can talk about all of the books that I enjoy. And is Pride and Prejudice gonna get more views than, say, this random YA book about high school that I reviewed so long ago? Yeah, and that's okay. Like, I'm happy to talk about Pride and Prejudice with anyone who wants to talk about it. But I think that it can be a little bit isolating to not be talking about all of, like, a ton of mainstream books and stuff like that. And you know, that's okay. Like, if I wanted to grow my channel by being trendy, I would do that, and that's fine. Like, people who do that, like, that's totally fine. But I just wish I had a little more of a space to talk about books I enjoyed, and had like more people in the book space that talked about books that I enjoyed too, which is, you know, it is what it is. Like, I can't complain too much about it, but that's just something that I did want to bring up, that it is very much, if you don't like spice, if you don't like Colleen Hoover, if you don't really read that many romantasy books and a lot of things like that, if you don't like books like A Little Life, you're not really like in the in group, and again, that's fine. It's just something that I want to comment on. I also think that the people who only read spice and are proud of only reading spice, they are in the minority, and I want to make that clear. But it does sadden me, because on the one hand, I should be happy that people are reading at all. I think that having books like easy to consume romance and quick reads and stuff like that, again, they have a place, and it's fantastic that a lot of people are picking up reading because of these books. However, I get really disappointed at the people who say they will only read books that have spice in them, because you're missing out on so much. And, you know, people who only read books for that reason, it seems like there is such anti-intellectualism involved in that, and I think that's really a shame. I want to make this clear. I do not have a problem with people who read spice. That is never what I want to talk about. But if it is the only thing you're reading and you will not read a book without it, that's when I think that there is an issue involved. It's giving addiction. I'm sorry. It's just, I don't think anyone who is watching this video right now feels this way. And if you do, I'm sorry. If that's the only thing you consume, I'm sorry, but I urge you to pick something else up, because there is so much good literature out there. And what you do with your time is yours, as long as you're not hurting anybody. Fantastic. The thing about consuming that sort of content through books, it is one of the better ways to do it because it does not hurt anybody. However, I just think there is so much more literature out there that you are missing out on, so I urge you to pick other stuff up too, please. I also want to talk about the misleading covers. I showed my mom a photo of the cover of Icebreaker, for example. We all know the infamy of Icebreaker if you're on any online book space. If you don't, I'm not going to explain it here, but there are plenty of articles, of YouTube videos explaining Icebreaker. So I urge you to, at your own discretion, look those up, because I will not be talking about it here. I have not read the book either. I have no interest in reading the book. But anyone who has been in the book reading spaces on social media can tell you, Icebreaker, not for kids. But I showed my mom, who is a 3rd grade teacher, this cover right here, and I said, Mom, what age group do you think these books are for? And she says, those look like books my students would read. Her 9-year-old students, 8 and 9. I personally see a problem with that. I do not think cartoons should be for kids. I think that cartoons should be consumed by everyone. However, if you're going to make a super cutesy book cover, I think you need to be careful. I think there needs to be incredibly explicit warnings that this is not a book for kids, and I think that the publishing industry has failed in that sense. I also think that it is also the parents' responsibility to review the books that their child consumes. I think that it is the parents' responsibility. However, I think it is easy to be misled by covers like that. And again, I am no prude. If you're an adult that wants to read that, more power to you. Do it. Like, you know, live your life as long as it's not hurting anyone else. Live your life. But I think that it is easy for things to be misled. I have seen so many times photos of books like Icebreaker being left in the young adult or young reader section. And I think part of that is also on the book corporation, like Barnes & Noble, make a better outline for the books, you know? Booktok should not be synonymous with young adult. Young adult means 12 to 18. It does not mean actual young adults. When I think young adult, I think of the Selection by Kiara Cass. I think even that is like, they said the B word in the 3rd book. You know, like, that is the level that I think younger readers on the young adult spectrum, that's what they should be exposed to at the very most. 16 and 17-year-olds, I think, can be treated so differently. And I don't want to treat a 16 and 17-year-old as a 12-year-old. They have matured so much beyond a 12-year-old. Though I still enjoy the Selection to this day. I'm just saying that I have seen such a problem, and so many other people have seen such a problem with both the publishing industry and bookstores not marketing books correctly, which I think is just a detriment to everyone. Because like there are probably children that have been exposed to content that is probably not appropriate for them at the time, which, you know, is reflected on the parent. But the parent, while it is their responsibility, could have felt misled by the cover. But adults should be able to consume media that is for them with cartoons on the cover. But maybe not that cartoonish, maybe not something that looks that much for kids. But at the same time, like, if it's marketed accidentally for young adult readers instead of new adult readers, which are 18 plus, and it blows up into this problem, and, you know, media outlets are fear-mongering and catastrophizing and saying, look at what they're pushing towards our children, and like, da-da-da-da, these types of books will be villainized, and the people that are actually able to consume them at a reasonable age and like are responsible and mature enough to do so, they get villainized for reading these books because they're like, well, don't you know this book was marketed for young adults? And it's like, no, it wasn't. It's just a whole domino system. As Georgia from My Favorite Murder says, it goes all the way to the top. And it does. The publishing industry is not my favorite right now. Let's be honest, my entire life, publishing industries have seen really, really successful books and made dupes of them. You see Twilight, here's all the Twilight knockoffs. You see Hunger Games, here's all the Hunger Games knockoffs. It happens. It's been happening since I was a toddler, and maybe even before that, I don't know. But I think we can all admit that Booktok has exacerbated that issue. I am disappointed with the amount of copy-paste stories that I've been seeing these days because one book is successful. And it just upsets me because it reminds me that the publishing industry, like most creative industries, are not run by the creatives. It's run by people who only want to make money. And cycles and trends come and go so fast in every industry, but in the publishing industry a lot. And instead of hearing the voices of people from all over and their stories, the bulk of the books that we get from the publishing industry are hastily written romance books that use tropes more as a crutch than it is even original idea. We've seen kind of the hallmarkification of the publishing industry, and once again, people who enjoy Hallmark movies, enjoy them. There's a place for them. People who enjoy tropey, cheesy rom-coms, I love them. I'll read plenty of them. There is a place for that. But when you're a publishing industry, when you're releasing, you know, basically 5 identical copies of the same book within a year or even more, I don't know the statistics, it's just sad to me because this money is being put into what they consider safe because it's easily consumable, tropey books that they know will work well because they worked in the past. And they use TikTok as a indicator of what's trendy at the time, you know? Sorry, I keep looking that way. The mailman is here and I got a Kindle. And I wonder if he's coming to me. But anyways, the publishing industry sees the trends on TikTok and just pushes out as many in that trend as possible. And it's so that they can make the most money possible instead of, you know, finding authors who have a new original story to tell, perhaps influenced by the culture they grew up in. We have so few people of color in the publishing industry, women of color in the publishing industry. We see so little of queer voices, of disabled voices. You know, the publishing industry, let's be so for real, is full of white women right now. And I am a white woman myself, I get that. But we're just getting carbon copies of the same books when there are so many people out there with actual like new and original stories that these people don't want to take a risk on because, well, what if it doesn't make them enough money? They'd rather do what's safe and what they know will make them money than take risks on stories that are probably absolutely fantastic. And it just makes me sad knowing that these people are not going to get their story heard. As someone who loves writing myself and loves storytelling myself, who I have never considered publishing, don't get me wrong. Like, I do not think I am a good enough writer to get my work published by any means. But as someone who writes, I know how close these people keep their stories to their hearts. And these people, they don't get to share this piece of their heart with the world because the publishing industry is hiring authors who are just willing to write out tropey things that you've seen before. And that just, it sucks. I am such a hater of the publishing industry right now. I want to see new original work by people from all different cultures. And I'm just sad that that is not what I am getting right now. I'm sad that Booktok has exacerbated the issue. And even though the last couple years, up until this point, I don't want to get into it, even though in the last couple years, we've been in a place so progressive and moving so forward in so many ways, not perfect by any means, but getting better, we still see so few voices in the creative industries because the businessmen at the top of the company don't want to take those risks. And it just makes me mad. But there's honestly not too much else I can say on the issue. If you guys have something to say about that, drop it down below in the comments. Comment down below any opinions you have that I was talking about in this video, please. Like, I'd love to hear your opinions, even if you disagree with me on stuff. But I also want to talk about the misogyny aspect of this, because I think a lot of people who do feel attacked by these criticisms, rightfully so or not, because some of the things said are legitimately misogynistic, they call misogyny. And I am a girl's girl. I want to support people in what they want to do. I want to advocate for these people to read what they want to read. However, I think that there are actual issues that are not misogyny. They're like actual issues. And they're like, but you don't talk about this with men. Well, like, bring up actual issues in the trope, or like within tropes, like actual like harmful implications. Like, if you're only reading this genre of book, like maybe that's not like super healthy for you. And they'll be like, well, that's misogynistic. You don't talk about this way about men. Girl, have you seen men writing women? I'm going to make fun of a woman writing a man's features in a silly way, just like I'm going to make fun of the opposite. Men writing women, one of my favorite subreddits ever. It is so stupid. Arabian Nights, which I reviewed last time. Men writing women at its finest? Question mark? At least it's most accurate to the subreddit. It is a perfect example of men writing women. I think it is weird. Why do people mow their lawns right as I'm filming videos? But, you know, like, doing the same for women is not misogynistic. Like, the way you describe men sometimes is silly. I'm sorry, it is. And the spice thing, like, have we not been talking about how weird it is for men who are addicted to it to, like, and call them out for it? Like, you can give your arguments of it's not as harmful until the cows come home. I'm still gonna think it's weird. I'm still gonna think it's weird if that's the only thing you read. I'm sorry. If a man said, I'm not gonna watch a movie unless there's a sex scene in it, I'm gonna think he's weird. I agree. It is a way to consume that is not exploitative. That's good. But it doesn't mean that it's not weird if it's the only thing you read. I don't want to be that controversial. I don't want to like cause arguments with people, but this has been like in my head for so long. I'm not cool with being called a misogynist when I'm calling both sides out. If it's a man who's like just doing it to hate on women, that's one thing, but I'm not doing that. And I think that it's a problem that it's normalized. Okay, this video is getting kind of long and the man at the park is mowing the lawn. So I think I'm going to end the video here. I think that we can do better. I think that as a community of book lovers on the internet, we can do better. And I think the internet is a place where it's easy to talk in black and white. Let's not do that. Let's have a discussion, okay? I'm here to have a discussion with all of you. I want to talk about things in depth with all of you. I don't want to just say, Booktok bad, me not like other girls, me read Charles Dickens. Cause like why? I'm reading it because it's something I enjoy to read. I'm reading A Tale of Two Cities because it sounded interesting, not because I wanted to sound smarter than other people. Like that's stupid. I don't think I'm a smarter person. I don't think I'm a better person for reading something that may not be interesting to everybody. The reason I love books so much, like I said earlier, is because there is a space for everyone to enjoy reading there. And I get it. Some people don't enjoy reading as much as other people. Some people have reading disabilities, and that is valid. But what I love most about the reading industry is that so many people can find books where they feel safe, comfortable, loved. They want to find an adventure. They want to find an escape. They want information. They want to learn more. They want to understand what things were like back in the day. Like, you can read for so many reasons, and that's beautiful. But to ignore all of the issues that are in the book community, I think is a disservice. I'm an itty bitty channel who has less than 100 subscribers by the time of me filming this video. I understand that. Am I gonna make much influence right now? No, but I don't know. If I could just influence one person, that'd be cool by me. And at the end of the day, I make these videos because I enjoy them. I enjoy yapping. Obviously, this video is so long, but I am just glad that I finally got this all off my chest because I've wanted to talk about it for so long and I just never have for some reason. So that is kind of all I have to say. I hope you liked this video. If you did like it, tell me you liked it in the comments so that I may do some more. I want to talk a lot about sustainability when it comes to buying books. I want to talk about banning books. I have other ideas that have to do with social issues revolving around reading, not just book reviews. So if you find that interesting, tell me, and I would love to make those videos. I probably will anyways, but you know, if it is something you enjoy, I'd love to hear it, just so that I know that there's people out there that do want to hear that. But yeah, the raw footage of this video is over 40 minutes, so I'm gonna stop this here. Without further ado, this has been Moo. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.